Hi traders, so this is a video to build on the concepts that we've talked about in the article, and primarily at the moment what we're looking at here is Bitcoin. So from our perspective, and certainly a lot of what we've seen in the media, is that people have been getting involved in cryptocurrencies and particularly Bitcoin primarily because of the the rally that we've seen, the very strong rally that we've seen over recent months. Now, I think from a lot of people's perspective, those people who are engaging in the markets at the moment, particularly cryptocurrencies, are not necessarily kind of well trained in how to interact with the market like this. They're coming at it from a complete amateur's perspective, and it's no surprise really that the decisions they're making kind of reflect their level of knowledge and experience. So we've certainly read a lot of reports about people who will have initiated buy positions, i.e. they will have bought Bitcoins somewhere around these levels up here, around 18, 19,000, and then obviously we've seen quite a significant sell-off at this point here, and anybody who will have bought Bitcoin up at these highs here certainly would have been feeling a lot of pressure as they sat there watching price trade back down again, and therefore eroding their profit and leaving them in a negative position. And that's going to be a very stressful time for those who have purchased their Bitcoins up at around these highs, particularly if you're not used to dealing with financial markets. To see the fact that you're losing your money can be quite an emotional thing for a lot of people, as we say, especially for those who don't normally engage in this type of activity. So, I mean, we've seen kind of mainstream media even has been talking about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and it seems like, the average person on the street is even now aware of these markets and the kind of prolific rise that we've seen in the value of some cryptocurrencies, particularly Bitcoin. From our perspective, when we're engaging in the market, whether that be in a cryptocurrency or any other type of instrument, we look to engage at areas of value. And primarily we are technical based traders, so we carry out technical analysis and we look to pinpoint those areas of value before we take our positions. And Bitcoin in particular, it's no different to any other market. The laws of supply and demand are still true, and when we do see that area of value and where we see some kind of technical confluence that aligns to that, then we will initiate our positions, and when we do initiate our trades, they're not based on emotional decisions, which is what a lot of people will be doing at the moment. So with that in mind, let's take a look at the Bitcoin chart and see where some of these technical entries could have taken place. So we'll need to zoom in slightly because of the way that Bitcoin has risen recently has kind of distorted the chart slightly. So we will zoom in and take a look at what's going on here. So we can see obviously that price had been in an uptrend for some time and has been actually tracking against the 50 EMA quite nicely. And what we actually got here was a clear kind of resistance level that had formed in the market around 2,962 mark. So we've got a high here. Price traded sideways slightly, and then we had another high here. And then price broke out of that area quite strongly. Now, one of the principles we teach on our course is about the use of support and resistance levels in your trading, and a concept that is I guess fairly well known and well documented, but not everybody knows how to utilize it properly, is the fact that resistance, once it's broken, can become support and vice versa. So, and we can see a really good example of that here. So price broke out of this level here and traded away for a number of weeks, and eventually the sell-off started to come into the market, and this for us is where we really start to look for areas of value. Now, we know about the principles of resistance turning into support, and we know we have a resistance line here because we drew it in at the time. So what we're looking for is exactly that. We're looking for resistance, prior resistance, to now become support, and at those positions we can look to initiate our trade. So what we could have done at this particular moment in time was initiated a buy order when price actually came back down to this level here, and we can see that price reacted almost to the point. Support and resistance levels can be very precise and they can work incredibly well. They don't always work. There's no guarantees in the market, but we deal with probabilities as traders, and there is a strong possibility or probability that price was going to react at this level, and that's exactly what happened. So this is for us very much an area of value, and would be a great place to initiate any long positions within Bitcoin. Certainly you wouldn't want to be kind of buying up here at these prior highs as they were at the time. You know, you're looking for price to retrace a little bit and then interact with an area of value, which is exactly what we got around here. So moving on slightly, price again continued to rally, as we know, and one of the elements of our strategies is candlestick patterns. So there are multiple different types of candlestick pattern. Again, it's something that we do cover in our course in terms of identifying them and learning how to use them properly, because not everybody does use candlesticks properly, but it's something that we do teach. And this is another example of where we could have initiated a position in the market. Price rallied up here. We had some kind of sideways movement for a few days, and then we got a slight pullback and then a very, very quick rejection off a prior support and resistance level here. So we can see that pin bar here has rejected that level cleanly, and that would be a great opportunity again to initiate some positions long. What we can see, and it's really interesting actually, if we zoom in slightly, price initially traded away from this pin bar and then actually came back to retest the entry. So a lot of people may have been shaken out of that position, or maybe even, you know, from an emotional perspective, be feeling a little bit vulnerable. They've seen price trade away from their position. Some traders are very, very quick to move to break even, and in this case, had they done that, their position would have been stopped out at break even, only then to see price rally away very strongly. Again, you know, these are principles that you know, we've got to grips with for over the many years that we've been trading, and it's something that we do kind of cover in our course. So these are opportunities to go long Bitcoin. As I say, we take our positions from a technical perspective, not an emotional one. And obviously the obvious play at the moment has definitely been long Bitcoin at the moment. But as we've seen, if we just reset the scale here, we have seen opportunities potentially to go short as well. And as we mentioned in the article, a number of brokers at the moment are offering you the opportunity to speculate on Bitcoin rather than have to actually purchase it. And that gives us a great opportunity to be able to go short the market as well. So we can see we had a really good pullback here. And if we dive down to the lower time frames, we can actually spot some opportunities where we could have taken those opportunities. So let's do that right now. So here we are on the 4-hourly chart of Bitcoin, and for us, you know, at this point we're in an opportunity here where we could start to actually look for some short positions, and this would be trading with a broker that allows speculation to the short side as well as the long side. So where might we look to initiate a short trade? Well, first and foremost, like any trading opportunity, it's about building up your confluence factors. So the first thing that we want to point out here is some MACD divergence. So across these highs here, we can see as price was rising upwards, we can also see that the MACD was starting to trend downwards. So we can see that price and the MACD was starting to diverge away from one another. So this is a clue that upside momentum is starting to fade. That in itself is not necessarily enough for us to initiate a short position. We would want to look for some extra confluence, and that's, you know, particularly true in a market like Bitcoin where the rallies have been so strong. You would be kind of you wouldn't really want to be jumping into the market based on one single factor of confluence such as MACD divergence. You know, you would be looking for something else to kind of build upon that potential position. So what we can also see here as well then is that price broke below the 50 EMA on the 4-hour chart. We've got a little bit of kind of support levels here. We've got a support low there and another low here, which kind of created this line in the market. Price eventually broke down through that and then retested it. So again, you know, we've already talked about the concept of support and resistance becoming, you know, a bit of a flip zone, and price support can become resistance, and that's exactly what we had here. You know, once price broke through this level, it's retested it a couple of times and actually sold off again, and that would be a really good kind of short-term opportunity to capitalize on a move to the downside. So that's the 4-hour chart, and let's take a look at the hourly chart and see if there are any opportunities there. So this is the hourly chart, and the opportunity that we see here is actually very similar to the one that we saw on the H4 in terms of we still have that MACD divergence. So we can see that as price was rising up, the MACD was actually starting to trend down. So we can see that divergence in the market. What we can also see here again is a break of the 50 EMA. Now we're kind of acknowledging that we had breaks further back down in the chart, but which didn't actually lead to anything. But what we quite like about this potential position is it's actually created quite a neat little support zone here. So we can see these lows here that created a line in the sand for us in terms of a support level, and we can see that it was actually quite a strong break of that level. And if we zoom in a little bit more, we can see this in a bit more detail. So we can see the support lows there. We can see that price, as it broke back down beneath the 50 EMA, it was actually quite a strong break to the downside on the hourly chart. And we can see a really clean retest of that as well. So price came back up to that level, and what was prior support has now become resistance, and price has traded away quite strongly. If you're looking to trade this on the hourly time frame, your stop loss would be relatively tight. So in terms of risk reward, there was quite a potential. A decent potential on the table for this particular trade idea. So again, this is just another example as to how you can play the market to the long side and the short side, and that even on Bitcoin you can trade it to the short side as long as you've got those kind of technical confluence factors lining up, which give you that bias that you absolutely need before you start to initiate any positions. And finally, just to kind of wrap this video up, we talk about the principles of technical analysis and support and resistance. It's for us, support and resistance is a key concept in the market. It's absolutely core and fundamental to how markets move and how people engage with the market. And what we've drawn inside this box here, or shall I say, the way that we've drawn this box actually shows multiple kind of flip zones in the market. So we can see some highs here. And then price traded away from it and kind of interacted again in this level here. So we can see another kind of reaction here, some highs here, and then price eventually broke out of these highs and has now reacted again on this side here. So for us, I think this just highlights the point that support and resistance is not always an exact science, and sometimes these things are more of a zone rather than a precise level. But once you understand how to kind of identify them, then you know what to look for in the market, and you can almost start to anticipate where price may actually have a reaction. And as we say, Bitcoin is no different to any other market. These concepts are absolutely still there. You just have to know what to look for, and you just have to know how to engage with them. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and we look forward to seeing you on the next video.